Hello, we are live on WOLFpak TV, and I am your host, Wendy Fortino. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh my gosh. We have the one and only Shaun T right before us, and I am so stoked. Really fast, as I introduce you, I have to say that Shaun, you are somebody that I have admired and looked up to. I mean, ever since you came out with Insanity, I know that you had a long road before leading up to that, but that workout program is such a staple in my whole like generational culture and just part of just my whole journey. So I just want to give you a very warm welcome and introduce you, Shaun T. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I am going to put on my glasses because, as you said, I've had a long road before Insanity, and I've had a long road since Insanity, and now I'm in the age of the glasses, but I'm good.
Well, you wanted us to see your eyes. So
Yes.
you pierced us with those beautiful eyes, and then you put the glasses on because you want to make sure we saw the whole thing, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. No, I really appreciate it. Insanity was like such a staple.
Yes.
It's really cool because I still have lots of people every single day mention hip hop as because that was my very first program, was a dance program. And I don't know if you
Yeah.
know this, but I did 2 dance programs before I did Insanity. And when I wanted to do the Insanity program, the
Yeah.
CEO of Beachbody at the time was like, I wanted to do it. And he was like, you're just a dance guy. And I was like, excuse me?
Excuse me?
Like, do you know who I am? And then, I mean, he knew me, but he didn't realize I was
Yeah.
an athlete and a collegiate athlete. And
Yes.
I had actually one of my most popular classes when I started teaching in college was
Yeah.
a boot camp class. So
Yeah.
anyway, Insanity was born, and that was pretty much all she wrote. And then you found me, and I'm so blessed that you have found me as well.
Well, I do like actually kind of an interesting story as we kind of see a little bit of this. An interesting story. This is actually came after Insanity. This is your max out. This is the follow up where you went like a little bit crazier, right?
Yeah.
You've done so much that I know that I say Insanity, but really there's so much more to you. But one thing I do know, which I thought was really interesting when I learned about this, is you were actually in school. I had to put together a dance class, and he put together his dance class, and like 100 students showed up. Oh, here he is again. Okay. So, Shanti, I was just telling the story about you teaching your dance class in school, and you're doing it as a project, and a bunch of students showed up to your class, and it was a surprise to you. So, tell me about that.
Yes, it was very interesting. So I loved dancing, and I just changed my major from communications to sports science because I went to school, I gained 50 pounds, and then when I gained 50 pounds, I started going to the gym, I started running again, and I fell in love with fitness, and so I changed my major from communications to sports science. And then what happened was, when I got into all of these classes, my professors were like, the way for you to become as marketable as possible is to learn how to teach as many aerobic classes as possible. So I was like, well, you know what? I was at a building program because I was a resident proctor. I was an RA at one point, but then I was a resident proctor as well. And one of the programs we did was a dance program by NTV, the Grind Workout with Eric Neese. I don't even know. It was like the first cast of The Real World or something like that. And so I was like, I can teach that. So I went to the director of the student center, the student recreation center, which is the gym. And I said, hey, can I teach a class? And she was like, sure. Have you ever taught before? I was like, no. But they were very, very supportive of students and their endeavors and
Yeah.
just wanting to try things. So I went to her, and she was like, you have to promote the class. So I went to the school paper, and I did this article. And so I'm thinking like 30 people are going to show up, maybe 25. Cause I did go to a lot of parties. So people knew I was doing it.
People knew who you were.
I mean, I wouldn't say I was twerking back then, but I was letting people have it. Hey. So anyway.
I think it was going to be good.
But then 90 people showed up to this class. So she walked up to me and she was like, you're going to have to you're gonna have to teach 2 classes in a row. Mind you, I never taught before.
Yeah.
But what was very interesting is people who didn't make it into the first class, they watch, because obviously they're like, all right, I'm showing up to this class, I don't know what it's going to be like, but they saw how it was so much fun. So then they stuck around, and I ended up teaching 2 classes back to back. And just really side note, which is so crazy, I was a track athlete. I was a 400-meter hurdler, so endurance wasn't an issue. But still, to this day, like the event that I just did in Dallas, I did 2 classes back to back. I'm like, and I say to people out there, and this is really important, when you find your superpower, or when you find something you're good at, or even if you look back to when you were younger, there's something that you did when you were younger where you were scratching your head and you didn't know why this was happening, and it will apply later in life. And so that is the thing. Like I will finish a class at a live event and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. But I'm like, I was built for this. I did this before. Yeah. So I just want people to take that and really apply that to their lives when they encounter something that might be a little bit different than what they think they were supposed to do.
2 things. One thing, people may not know this, because if people who may not already follow you and maybe here, who aren't following you, you're getting ready for your next shot at getting your IFBB Pro card, which I totally think is going to happen for you, obviously. It's not a matter of if, but when, right? But I know, because I compete too, that you're in a place right now where your energy is really low. The people that come to these classes who just came to Dallas, I think they see you looking incredible. Your muscles are popping. You're so lean. You're so shredded. And to generate the kind of power, I've taught classes before in this type of state also. That takes something from so deep within. There's like this deep passion that you have to generate, that is truly generated from you're here, like this picture. You're going to walk in here and you're going to change at least one person's life, and that drives you, right?
Yeah, this is so true. I love that you talked about that or spoke about that, because I am in a place, and I was actually hoping you would talk about it because you have more experience being in this particular space than me. But you find this drive, and I talk about it a lot. You find this internal motivation to continue to push yourself forward. And that's where Dig Deeper comes from. Dig Deeper essentially comes from the fact that when I was younger, I really had to conquer my mind and go through things when I was going through something really traumatic in my life. And as I've gotten older and I went to therapy, I realized that your mind is really, really powerful. But to the picture that you just had up, my entire goal to change one person's life came from my agent telling me that the path that I set out to do, which was create an infomercial and a dance workout, they were like, these things never work. And so instead of feeling, first of all,
tell me,
you can ask my husband, if you tell me I can't do something, even if I do it in the most minimalistic way, I'm going to do it, not just to prove to somebody else that I can do it, but to prove to myself that, you know what, if I have something in my head and I have the power to do it, I'm going to go after it. And with that said, and I think this is really important for a lot of people to hear, sometimes when you go after a goal and you never give up, you will end up at a completely different destination.
Right.
And that's why when someone tells you you can't do something, you better not stop going after that. For me, it ended up happening that from that one workout that I created, which was Hip Hop Abs, that put me on the map to help inspire millions of people. But I still, when people come up to me at the store, at the mall, or at an event, and they say, I know you hear this all the time, but you changed my life, I still look at each individual person as one person. I'm like, nope, you are one person. And I stay focused on that one person. And oftentimes, there have been times in my career where you kind of feel burnt out. You feel like you're in these business situations and you're like, I don't know if this feels right for me.
Right.
I always resort back to, well, if one person becomes better from this and my drive and motivation, then I've succeeded in what it is that I was supposed to do.
I love that. I think that when you went in to teach your classes, the classes that you thought were it was going to be one class with 25 people that
Yeah.
you met at a party. And then you're teaching two classes back to back that you didn't totally know going into it, but you found something from within that you knew was there, but it's like you got that kind of that bit with that magical bug.
Yeah.
And that has to be such a rush because I actually know what that feels like,
Yeah. I
It's
was
like
going to
a
say,
power, but
even
it's
to
a
you,
rush.
I was going to say, even to you, you've been to, this is your 8th Olympia coming up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when you went into your first show to compete, like, all the things that are swirling in your head,
Yeah.
did you think, even though it may have been a goal to make it this far,
Yeah.
did you think like you would really be here 8 years later, having women who look up to you, your confidence? Like, did you think that was going to be, did you think you were going to be exactly where you are right now?
Look at you turning the tables. I gotta think. What I will say is I actually came into this sport as like a chance. I was a track athlete. I got hurt. I was actually training to compete in the Olympic trials in 2008. And I got injured and I was so depressed and so bummed. And my now husband, who was my boyfriend for like a month, he was a bodybuilder. And he honestly just told me to come work out with him. And everyone at the gym told me I should jump in the show with him to get my mind off of, I was so depressed because of track. And when I did that first show, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm going to be good at this. There was no expectations. And as soon as I found out that it was something that I could do, that I was good at, then I started getting that rush of, oh my God, what are the possibilities? Where could this go? I wonder what is, not for me personally, but like I could see this vision of like, there's a platform here that I feel like is going to be my bliss. Like, this is going to be my avenue, my road to get to wherever it is that I'm going to go. I don't know, but I did, like, early on, I did definitely like felt that kind of that same feeling that you probably had when you taught the classes. Like, I don't totally know where this is going to go, but there's something here. There's something magical, and I know it's going to go somewhere,
Yeah, that's kind of exactly, I didn't think that exact story, but people hear it from me and I'm like, I know you on the other side, even interviewing me, I know in order for you to get to this place and be this successful in what it is that you do, there had to be a surprise route that you took by not giving up or something happening.
Right? Oh my gosh. You are so good. That is so true, because you're not on the path that you set out to go on, but the path that you wind up on is definitely, it's the happenstance. It's kind of like, oh, and by the way, but you know what you also have to be is open to that. I think, and I really believe in that, because I think that there's a lot of people that they pass up on those opportunities and they don't even realize it. There's some big opportunity that they're like, God, if only something will happen to me. And it's happening left and right. And they're not open to it. Right.
Yeah.
So to be open to that, I think, is also a magical tool to have.
Injury, you got injured. That's how you got into bodybuilding. And we are very one and the same with that. I injured my shoulder. That's how I got into bodybuilding, And so, I always like to I always like to find out from the person that I'm talking to their story too, because there's so many people out there who are listening, and I'm sure they think that because they're what they consider to be failure or a barrier that happened to them, it is a sign for them that this is not right for me. Mm-hmm. But if you carry the passion, literally do not stop. All right, you pulled up this. Let me tell you something. I got the chills. You pulled up this.
Tell me about it.
You pulled up this video of me at the show. I had no idea when I got into bodybuilding that there would be an opportunity for me to perform like this. So I'll tell people this, and I don't know if my coach wants me to tell people, but I'm going to my next national competition. I'm going to North America. So if you are in Pittsburgh or anywhere near there on Wednesday the 28th, I need a cheering section. But anyway,
you got it.
Me and my coach, we're like really focused on men's physique because you know how it is. I want to get a little bigger, my legs and whatever. So we're focused on men's physique. But I said to him, I said, listen, I said, I have to do a couple classic classes because I need to do a posing routine because it's the one thing that when I go there, like I feel like I can leave it on the stage, regardless of whether I, win or get first call outs or whatever. I mean, hopefully I get first calls. Like I'll be in top 5 to perform the routine. But this right here is like, it's such a passion for me. But I also take this movement. And when we are doing our, prejudging poses and everything, I am like, do you understand just the movement of this is so powerful? And I didn't even know that this would be an integral part of this process, which makes it for me, so much better, just being honest.
I mean, I think with you, I think the thing that is very apparent is that you are definitely a performer. Can I point something out though? Because, I mean, I have been a dancer. I say I have been because I don't practice right now. I should. I've seen a lot of dancers. The body in motion is what makes the dance so impressive. That's why, ballerinas have certain body types, gymnasts have certain body types. There are body types that look, so beautiful in motion. I cannot get over how awesome you look dancing with this physique. I mean, it's crazy. I think it makes the moves like just that much more badass.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But I'm gonna tell you something, and I'll tell you guys a little behind the scenes. Yeah. So I was a professional dancer. Like I was on tour. I danced with Mariah Carey. I danced in music videos. I danced in. I was in musicals. I've done it all. Like stage shows. I've done ballet. I've done jazz. I've done it all. But and I would always dance at like 188, 190 pounds. Right at 6 foot, it was great. For some reason, as I've gotten older, I've shrunk to 5'11" and a half, and I put on 25 pounds of basically muscle. So when I'm practicing these dances, let me tell you something. I practice them sitting down. I just watch them. Thank God I was a professional dancer. And then I'll stand up in the morning. And I'm like, all right, I'll get my hips moving. And then I go outside and I do it like maybe 4 times. And it's usually on the 4th time that I make it look this good because times 1, 2, and 3, I'm like this. Oh my God. And then I watch it back and I'm like, oh my God, you literally look like the Tin Man. Like, get it together. But just like, so when you guys see here, this is like, I'm warmed up. Like I put oil on my bones and joints. And I'm good.
No.
But it's so fun, though.
Oh my gosh. No, well, the thing that makes it look so cool is that it's hard to move like that when you have so much muscle. I mean, to make the moves look that awesome, and that's what makes it look so cool. I mean, that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, man, I've seen dancers, and then there's Shaun, and he's like in a whole nother category. He's like a phenom dancer with this incredible physique. It just looks so cool in motion. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate it. It definitely is a different experience with, all this muscle. but hey, if Janet Jackson called me, I'd still go on tour. Okay.
Hey, you know what? Actually, that could be very marketable. I'm not going to lie. That could be very marketable.
Something really cool about, I have a bunch of dancer friends and choreographers. Yeah. And I think everybody loves good dancing.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of fun to put together a bodybuilding group of dancers and we can go to some of the shows, just to like perform. It would be kind of cool. But I was watching
I need some practice to brush up, but I'm down.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I was looking at women's bodybuilding, the Tampa show. Yeah. I was streaming it and I was so impressed how these women were, feminine, obviously, like they have this muscle, but they move in such a feminine way. And I find it to be fascinating and beautiful. Yeah. And I'm like, if anybody, in my opinion, if you have a pro bodybuilding show in your area, just take a Saturday afternoon and go to the finals, man. It's just a beautiful experience to watch, everybody who's in there, but it's great.
I think, when you start to do the sport, you definitely have a whole new level of appreciation. Which leads me to actually address, because there's a few things that I want to talk about, but I do want to say there is something that I do want to talk about, which is you you then versus you now doing your insanity workout, which you just recently posted. And also I want to talk about like what even got you here from this, like how did you get from your home workout empire, which you still have, but what made you like get the bug to transition into delve into bodybuilding?
Yeah, I mean, it was totally injury, very similar to you. I was actually teaching a lot of Max 30 workouts on a live streaming platform that
Yeah.
Body used to have.
Yeah.
And I was teaching a lot and I had to every month I had to go, but I was also a really, really, pretty high level tennis player for starting at late in the stages of life, if you will. Not late, but 32 starting to play tennis is kind of old.
Right.
And so I played for like 11 years, but with that, with exercise, all kinds of exercise, I consider myself to be a cross trainer. I just, overuse injury. There was knees, there was this, but I really injured. I really had a bone spur that grew, and it tore my rotator cuff.
Oh.
And so I was teaching these classes, like you see here on the screen,
Yeah.
but I had to constantly create the class so that I I could do it on screen. So then I went from everything to not even being able to really do a jumping jack because my shoulder hurt. Or when I would lift weights, I could
Yeah.
only do like a push press and
Yeah.
like a tricep press. Couldn't do lateral raises and all that stuff. So anyway, it took me a while, but I want to say something that's really important. And this is like probably one of the most important things along this journey. I
Yeah.
remember in the January of 2022, I actually went to a gym to get my body fat tested. And even through like I was working out, I always ate. I always have this thing that 85% healthy, 15% fun. Like
Hmm.
I was eating healthy, I was doing all this stuff.
I
But
like that.
I was 18% body fat. And what happened was it really put into my mindset that I was under stress. And
Hmm.
so my most important thing to tell people out there is pay attention. If you are stressed out, like if you're like, I'm working out, I'm doing this, if you're stressed, just like
Yeah.
if you're in prep and you are already supposed to be super lean and you're doing all the right things and you're holding water and that is stress. So I was really stressed. And I remember when I went to my doctor, to my orthopedic surgeon,
Hmm.
I said, wait a minute. I was like, and when he said I had this shoulder issue, I was like, I have to get it because I'm under a lot of stress. And so that was one of the defining moments to help me make my decision to get
Yeah.
shoulder surgery. So I got shoulder surgery. A couple of weeks later, I had to go to physical therapy, went to physical therapy, and both of my physical therapists, the gentleman and the female, they
Yeah.
both had competed before. But there was something about Kristen, who was my physical therapist, that
Yeah.
I just kind of like fell in love with her energy, her knowledge, her physique.
Yeah.
She was what it was. So I
Yeah.
just like asked her if she could train me. I was like, "Can you train me?" And everybody kind of looked at me like, "Why does Shaun T need a trainer?" And
Right.
she was just walking by. She said, "Sure." And I don't know if she thought I was serious or not, but I sure came in the next time. I was like, "Can we go out to lunch? Like, I really need to do this." So I
Yeah.
was going to physical therapy. Then we started working out in the gym, and she was also rehabilitating my shoulder. But I
Right.
started lifting weights, and then I started lifting weights. And I talk about this. I'm just going to be very honest. I was going through stress. I went to therapy, mental therapy, because I was like, I actually have a break for the first time in the 20 plus years of my career
Wow.
to really give back to myself. My
Wow.
kids at the time were 4, so I'm like going through this like you know, parental change.
Right.
Everything is like changing in my life.
Yeah.
And so, so I went to this vitality center to like, I was interested in peptides and all this
Hmm.
stuff. And then I realized that, okay, I'm gonna get, scientific here. So we talk a lot about women's hormones and it's always like really accepted, right?
Hmm.
But my erections weren't where they were supposed to be. I'm just gonna keep it very real. I know you probably were not ready for that. And so
that's okay.
yeah,
People are going to relate who are watching this. Okay.
yeah. So I talked to my doc. I mean, I think that before I continue, like that's why I brought up the woman hormone thing. Like I love talking when women talk about hormones and the things that it does to their body, but men are also so afraid to talk about it. Or so the first time I got testosterone, I got like the pellets because I was just like, I don't want to take needles. Like, let me see what this is like. And I did testosterone and and my husband was like, yeah, it's working. So, hey, look, when you got Shaun T, you keep it real. But then, what was more important? I say that as a like funny thing, but what was more important is I remember my doctor and Kristen saying like, you're gonna start to feel more like your younger self.
Yeah.
And so I just found this like vibrant energy. It wasn't like overdoing it. Like I got my blood work, I got all that stuff, and I just felt great. I felt motivated, more motivated, had to use less of my mind to be motivated and more of my youthful energy. And then so after about 8 months of training with Kristen, my gym had all these pictures up of people, women and men that competed. And I just thought it was motivational at first.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually I was like, I want to do this. And what I love about Kristen, she was like, I'll still train you, but I'm going to send you to this guy. His name is Justin Harrell, who's a coach.
Right.
And in January of 2020, what year is 2023?
Yeah.
I basically started the process, but I was still shooting. I had to shoot a lot of classes and stuff.
Yeah.
And Justin was like, you'll understand this as a person who has to develop their body to get ready for stage. He told me way after my first show, even though I did really well, he was like, yeah, man, when I first saw you, I was like, I don't know what we're going to do with that back. Like, I have to build up your back because, and that's the other thing, which is why I created my new program, Dig Deeper.
I was just going to ask you that. I have a question about that. So,
so this will lead into it. So, with Insanity and home workouts that don't require lifting, you are doing lots of frontal body work, without getting too scientific. You're doing push-ups, but if you don't have dumbbells with Insanity, you're not really working your back. The only thing you work on your back is your triceps, and so I had all this like really good work and glutes, I had my glutes and hamstrings with squats and stuff like that. But then I started really working my back with the lifting and lat pull downs and all of the back stuff. And so that was just kind of like, I felt so much better everywhere because I just felt more balanced. So that's how I got into bodybuilding, and I did it. And then August of 2023 was my first show. And right after that, I was already ready, and I created and developed and shot Dig Deeper, which I'm so excited about.
I think that's so cool because it's like your workout programs are following almost like the timeline of your journey. That makes it so much more personal and so much more connected to you. It's like people are going on this journey with you and also changing their lives too. So for you, you're doing programs that are really like close to your heart.
Authenticity for me is one of the most important things. It just is. So I've always pride myself on, when I first started this journey, it was dance because that's what I was doing. And then I was teaching classes at Equinox, and I was doing a lot of HIIT training where Insanity came in and Max 30. And so anyway, to your point, I actually started training again to run the hurdles again. And that's when I did the Asylum workout because I started training for sports, which a lot of people don't know. I really wanted to go to the Olympic trials, but I pulled my hamstring. So it was just kind of like, I have this really great career. Do I want to pull my hamstring? And so a lot of people don't know. People who have done my Asylum workout, my Asylum Volume 1 workout,
oh my gosh,
was actually delayed in filming because I pulled my hamstring going over a hurdle in track practice. I know, right? Because I'm looking for that right now. I was pretty fast. Wendy. So anyway, I say all that to say, yes, I really try to stay authentic. So then when I started lifting, And I always have meetings before I create any workout. If they come to me and they're like, hey, this is what we want to do, I'm like, that's not what I'm doing in my life. I need to do something that's happening right now. Like during the pandemic, I shot
here's the asylum right here.
Yeah, this is
so cool.
Asylum. Oh yeah, that's it.
Damn.
You would have loved this in your track and field.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is like exactly what I would need. And it's the drills outside of the actual running and sprinting that really create a powerful athlete, you know?
Yes.
It's the extra stuff that I think athletes skimp on, that really that's what gives you the edge, you know? Because running, if all you do is just go and run intervals, it's like you can definitely get faster. But when you train all those muscles that support the muscles that you need to sprint and jump and hurdle or whatever the case may be, you're giving your body an edge that like other people just don't have. So
you know, it's interesting. When I was developing Asylum, I actually went to a sports conditioning clinic like 3 times in Santa Barbara, California, to do all of these like small little drills to work all of those muscles. Because people at home, like I think it's funny when people say, oh my gosh, I love this, because I'm like, this is so incredibly intense. But the reason why the people who do love it and get with it is like, not only do they feel their body obviously changing and, you know, getting shredded or whatever, but you're using muscles, those fast twitch muscle fibers that you typically don't really get a whole, even down to your feet, like how fast your feet can move, really, really, really adds so much, I say the word value to all of the other training you do. And I'll say this because I don't know if you've ever had to do this, but right now, one of my workouts. So every time up to this, in every prep, I would just, you know, do like steady state cardio. But this, Wendy, these last 2 weeks, my coach has me doing intervals on the Stairmaster. It 100% reminds me of track and field. And I'm like, but I'm doing
in this state where your body fat is low, it's a different story.
Yeah, I'm doing 20, 30-second intervals, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off at the highest level on the Stairmaster. And I'm good until minute 17. And that's where I'm like, I got 3 minutes to go, you know, 3.
I have, yes. I have one thing to say to that, which is dig deep. No. But you know, I think also, you know, you're creating these programs. Obviously, they're following your journey, they're following your path. Your one thing that always fascinates me right now with you is how you get this energy, like where this energy comes from. I can't wrap my head around it. It's nuts.
Well, I'll tell you this. I will say my energy is genetic. Like my mother is so hilarious. She's so quick. Like I'll tell you a quick little story. In college, I worked at the rec center, which was the gym. I wasn't there one night. She walks in and she was just talking to the person at the front desk. She didn't tell them she was coming. They were just like, are you Shaun T's mom? Like, because it's just so genetic for me. My energy. However, you know, I went through so much turmoil as a kid, Wendy, like, you know, not to get like too deep. A lot of people who maybe here know, they've read my book. I was sexually abused from the time I was 8 to the time I was 12. I actually life didn't start for me until I was 14 years old. And so, because I left my house, I moved in with my grandparents, and that was the start of life for me. So for me, I know what it's like to be in the depths of hell, for lack of a better way of saying it. And so even like this week, I just had a meeting with my husband and my 2 nannies. I was like, listen, I'm going through it. I have minimal energy. That's one of them brought me some electrolytes, you know, and they always are like, you know, we really appreciate your ability to communicate how you're feeling before you feel that way. And believe it or not, people say that communication and relationships are great, and work relationship, interpersonal relationships. And the reason why communication is great is because communication gives you energy, because now being able to have that conversation with them, I feel free to be where I am because they understand where I am.
I agree with that so much. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. I can't even tell you. I do know about your story, and I want there. We also have like a Make Your Mark series where I would love to sit down and like have you just open up all about that
I
story,
love you have
because
so many series. Call me on, Wendy.
I
I'm
know
here for
I want you for everything. Okay. But what I want to say, okay, this is something that I really, really love about you. It's probably one of the things that I love the most about you. Okay. Is that the thing that I truly believe makes everything that you do so successful, aside from your amazing who you are and everything like that, is you're so focused. And this is the to point out your business sense, is that you have a target audience. And I think, like, especially in this day and age, I think people, they want to include everyone. Everything's so inclusive, which is great. But when you came out with Insanity, you were one of the first people to really, if not the first, to be like, look, this is not for everybody. This is for people who want to work hard. This is for people who want to dig deep and push their limits and get past their thresholds. That attracted a lot of people who actually may not actually be into that category, but they became in that category because you made it clear, like, if you want to hurt and be in pain and you want to dig deep, this is your program. That was so awesome.
Well, because I pride myself on being really truthful,
Yeah.
and oftentimes, more than often, and more than you should never, but when it comes to commercial fitness, especially infomercials and such,
Yeah.
the whole thing is a sell. So it's very easy to say, like, this particular machine works, or this is going to give you this. And I just remember when they asked me the question, "Is insanity for everybody?" I was like, "Well, let me tell you who it's not for." Because I didn't want to say yes.
Yeah.
Because essentially, if you want to push your body to the next level and you really have the internal motivation to do that, yes, it's for you. But I'd rather focus on who it's not for. It's not for a person who's lazy. It's not for a person who finds excuses. It's only for the person who's ready to take their body to peak physical condition. Because at the end of the day, if you push play, you have to trust me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want you to go into this situation being like, he told me this was going to be tough.
Yep.
And so you're more apt to continue to move forward because you trust me. I wouldn't want to be like, oh yeah, it's like gym class and all you're doing, and you got this and it's going to be easy. No, like, it's going to be hard. But I tell people this, one of the reasons they should complete Insanity or Max 30 or Dig Deeper, those workouts, is not only or not solely to lose weight.
Yep.
It is because, and I want you to think about this and people to think about this. This is like so important. And you do this every time you go through prep.
Tell me.
You are constantly telling yourself, I can do this. I can do this. You gotta push. Oh my gosh, that was hard. Oh my gosh, like, I actually completed that. The psychology behind you pushing play every day, or showing up to your workout every day, or doing your cardio every day, or eating healthy every day as you can, when you get to a tough part outside of the wellness space of your life, whether it be work, I'm sure you and your husband have had issues in your life, like, that internal motivation pushes you to do better in other places, because psychologically you are constantly telling yourself, go. The worst thing to do is to be in a plank position, sweating like hell, and being like, I'm turning this thing off.
Right.
The best thing you can do, and I did this at my event, like, I went up to a woman and I was like, I know that I made them do a 3.5 minute plank hold at like 25 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things you can do.
Oh yeah.
I told her, I was like, hold on, because you're going to be able to use this later. And so that's one of the most important reasons why I like people to do a really tough workout or complete something like that, because it just helps you in other areas of your life. Again, that's why I have my tattoos: conquer your mind, transform your life. Like, it just comes, it's the byproduct of you doing the best that you can do, even if you need to take a break.
I agree with you so much. And I actually have a question to piggyback off of that, which is now that you're in this state, right? You are literally digging deep. I mean, you're living your words and you're getting ready, you're close to your show. And this happens in my experience and with a lot of athletes that I notice is we have so much emotional baggage that we push deep, deep down, right? And I think a lot of people, they keep it dormant. And what I have observed in my experience with me and with everyone else is that when you push yourself into a goal like this where you're hungry, you're tired, you kind of put all these stressors on your body. All those things, they start to surface, and a lot of times people don't realize the connection to that, and they think, oh, all of a sudden, this is happening to me, this is happening to me, I'm going through this. And no, actually all that stuff was always there. But when you get yourself to this state where you're just physically draining yourself, it brings the emotional stuff that's been dormant, it brings it to the surface, and all of a sudden you're facing it head on.
Mhm.
You get emotional on the step mill, you start crying, don't even know why, things are just happening, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that one of the things that I try to tell people is suppression is your biggest enemy. But you like to your point really fast. A lot of people, the reason they get emotional in exercise is because they do realize at some point that they have been stuck because of this one thing and they're pushing
Yes.
themselves and they find it you know and like you said, like this kind of process, it really happens. One of the things that I do all the time, I do this every single day. I swear I do it every day. And I just got in the habit of doing this because this is what I love to do, which is inspire and motivate people. But I have a lot of teammates, um, people who are coached by my coach. I call them my teammates.
Yeah.
I'm constantly finding myself leaving voice memos for them because they're going through something, and I have to like remind them, just like I have to remind myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not this. It's not this. It's not the weightlifting. It's not that the fact that you're going to be judged or you're going out on stage. I'm like, this is coming from something else. And so
Yes.
we have to figure out a way to apply this power and this challenge to
Yes.
something great, because otherwise you are going to, I mean, listen, we come from a track and field background. If you come into this sport, you're not crossing the finish line first. You're coming into this sport and all the work was done before you got there, and other people are telling you this is where you are. And if you are afraid to be judged, if you have been abandoned, I mean, there's a lot.
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, people, there's so many
Like
things.
these things are going to surface, and so anyway, that's why, during the pandemic, and I'm bringing it back, like I've had mentorship programs. I'm not a therapist because I have my own therapist, but I've transformed hundreds of people's mental space just by being able to, I have this program and thing that I do called dig deep and repeat. I'm able to like find the surface, go deep, uncover all of that mess. And then we're gonna have the volcanic explosion. And then that just helps you become aware of what it is that you have been suppressing inside.
Right.
And once that's released, I'm not saying that life is going to get tremendously easier, but once you recognize the challenge and you address it and you accept it, it becomes less heavy. It's like having when you eat a lot of food and you're like stuck. Once that's gone, you take your Tums, you're like, oh, like I still have this weight on me. I still got to work out, but I don't have that thing in my stomach. Like I can do something. No, I don't know if that was.
I think, I think that there's such a huge connection between our mind and our body. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but it still needs to be said. It's one of those things where it's like so obvious, but it's not practiced all the time. And I think for somebody who maybe is out of shape and maybe has neglected themselves for a long period of time, I don't think there is necessarily in a lot of cases the awareness that application to the body could change so much in the mind, but at the same time, somebody at your level, you're already in shape, you're already, you already have your body in a great place, but you are at a different place because you want to dig something even deeper out of yourself. And that's what like the whole bodybuilding world is so interesting in that way, right? Because they're, people who are successful are already in shape, and then they want to, what's next for me? Like, I'm already satisfied with my body. What can I do to feel like I'm pushing myself? And even then, you still discover new levels where you realize, wow, like my body and my mind are so connected. It's crazy, because whatever level you're at, whether you're the person who's neglected yourself for too long, or you're somebody who's in shape and you're trying to get to the next level, you reach that point, that like penultimate point where there's that meetup between your mind and your body that surfaces these things that go, oh my gosh, like I didn't even know I was harnessing these like issues. There's this emotional baggage. It comes out. For me, I get emotional when I'm like on the step mount. I really do. I will listen to motivational things, and I'm just all of a sudden like all this stuff gets in my head, and I'm just like, like I just get so into it. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, I filmed. I haven't posted it yet. I filmed something yesterday because I'm gonna be very honest. I was in the depths of. I was like really struggling.
Really?
Because I was just so tired. And
Yeah.
earlier we were talking about how you were like, oh my gosh, you have so much energy. And when I crash, it is like really terrible,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I did is I used that inability to move. I mean, I got back to my house after my workout, and I was to walk in the house just to make my food, which I'm really, really hungry. I was like, I need to sit in this car for a minute. And then my husband texted me, and he made me cry. He was just like, you're the strongest person I know. I've never met anyone more focused and determined and committed to doing something and like motivated to push through. And then so I shot this video. I'll just shoot a video, either whether it's just for me to remind myself later. But to your point about mind and body, I realized, and I'm going to post this tomorrow morning, actually, I'm like, there's something deeper happening in this process. And so for people out there who, I have a lot to say, but I'll say this. For people out there who like have a really tough time committing, or they're on this yo-yo diet, or they're in this roller coaster of like fitness.
Yeah.
I told someone, I told a story a couple of days ago where this woman who was our florist for our wedding, it took her a year to finish her first insanity workout, and she lost like 80 or 100 pounds or something.
Oh my gosh.
And she's not only, I told her, I was like, start out doing something where you're going to be successful. And that is like, if you need to work out one day a week, then one day a week it is, because that's what you can stick to. I was actually in an Uber in Texas, and the guy, I get in the car, I came from the gym. He's like, wow, like you're really fit. Like how many days a week do I have to work out? I was like, how many days a week can you commit to? Because I want you to work out one day a week for an entire year, because the more successful you feel at doing this, the more you're going to want to add on to it. And so, and a lot of people don't agree with that. There's
well, I just want to say really fast, I'm agreeing with you, but I will say that the only thing I would say to that is that there's two things happening, right? There's the commitment and the expectation, right? If your expectation is up here and your commitment level is here, like you ask somebody, how many days can you commit to? They say, I want to look like you, but your commitment level is up here and your expectation level is up here. You're here, right? They're like, I can commit to this. You're like, okay, well then this is what you can expect. And as long as you're matching, you have the commitment and you have, okay, this is what you can expect. This is your commitment. This is what you can expect. And as you continue through that journey, people will eventually, hopefully, if they want to achieve what you have, they eventually realize what the commitment level is going to need to be, right?
Yeah, I love that's like so impactful, and it's very, very true. I don't really have anything more to say that's like so smart. For me, I'm just like, you're never going to get there if you don't find success.
Right.
So build it slowly. But there are a lot of people out there who jump in and they're all in kind of people, and they're like, I'm going to fight through this and I'm going to keep going. But I think the freedom of all of that I love that. Like whatever you commit to, you have to expect the results to be whatever it is that you can do. And small amounts of success equal great outcomes as long
Right.
as you are, as long as your expectations, like you said, are
Right.
where in alignment.
Well, and to your point too, before you were saying that whatever success you have, you don't just apply it to the goal that you're currently doing. You realize that that's the type of person you are. It's like it's building habits. You build the habits in your mind. I become the person who sets a goal and sticks to it. And even if it's a small goal, you're reprogramming your framework. You're reprogramming that kind of habitual formation that you're creating. That to me, I think is huge. And actually, my husband made a video about this the other day, which I thought was really, really good. And he was saying, like, if you have, because he does contest prep and he has Olympians and,
Love that.
lots of pros and stuff like that. And he said, I will give someone like 30 minutes of cardio. He goes, and if you finish 29 minutes, is that extra minute really going to be a big deal? Probably not in the grand scheme of things, but mentally, if you stop a minute short, you become somebody who will stop short. You're going to make compromises in other things. You go all the way through, all the way till the 30 minutes is up, not a minute lower, a second lower. I'm the person that finishes all the way through, even that small little task of finishing 30 minutes of cardio, right?
Oh my gosh. It is so, I need to see that video. I am 100% like that. In my book, I talk about the last 70 meters and I often talk about running through the finish line. Because, in track and field, if the finish line is the finish line, you're taking away some of your time.
Yep.
But you have to, that momentum of you getting to that 30 minutes is going to propel you. Like, I would, for the longest time, if I had to do 30 minutes of cardio, I would do 30 minutes in 5 seconds. But now I was like, no, I'm really committed to this 30 minutes. And I purposely stop at 30 minutes because I'm just like, I know I'm going to get all the way there. And yeah, I want to see that video. That's really, really
You know what I do? Because I'm like that too. I'm like, okay, I don't want to go over, because here's what you do if you go over. You pace yourself, okay? I'm going to give myself extra credit if I go over. But instead, when I have if I have 30 minutes and I have let's say 30 seconds to go, I will put it on the highest level to where I know that there's not a second longer that I
You are a track and field athlete. Oh my goodness. We are one in the same. It's like,
we are.
Yo, I'm at the end of this and I'm going to try to make this as hard as I can possibly make it to the end.
Everything.
Not to cut you off, but I just love it.
No, you did it. We are a lot alike, I think I'm realizing. I have another question. I'm going to backtrack really fast, because early on you discovered that I know you went through a lot as a child, and I know you had you found that you were a dancer. You're just very gifted, obviously. Is that another thing that you felt like you found success in, that translated into other parts of your life?
Dance.
I personally, I struggled with conventional school and conventional set of intelligences. I found success in athletics, and that helped me feel like I could be successful. And we have so much in common that I just feel like that. I'm wondering if maybe that was you too.
What exactly, like the dance
So
thing?
for me, I was struggling. I have a twin sister, and she is conventionally very intelligent. She would ace tests. She could memorize things by looking at them once. I was a floater, a daydreamer, creative kind of a person, right? So, but when I started a PE program when I was in junior high, that was amazing. You start with white shorts, and you advance to red shorts, and then blue. You advance based off of pull-ups and sit-ups and push-ups, and I was succeeding in that. And my PE teachers thought that I was really, really smart because I was the kind of person that was dedicated, and all of a sudden I started working harder in school because I wanted to be that person. I felt like this success I was having here was translating into here. And then that's something that kind of, domino effect into the rest of life. So I don't know. I just feel like that goes along the lines of what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I'm such a creative. I will say that because of my childhood trauma, I wasn't motivated in the application of academics, but I'm naturally, I hate to be like this. I graduated college with honors. I made the honor roll. I did all of that. but it was very tough to focus.
Yeah.
And
me too.
But the thing that was incredible, very similar to you, anything creative, I could sing, I could dance, I was an athlete. And that was the thing that fueled me.
Yeah.
And it still fuels me to this day, you know? And so my brother was more of the, like, he would get straight A's just by like showing up to class and probably not even paying attention.
Exactly. Yes.
And I had to apply myself. But my mom was always like, you better make the honor roll.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me to make the honor roll, but you have no idea what's happening to me at 12 o'clock midnight. And all of the things that are like happening in his head, you know, and my brother's just like skating by.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, like, you know,
that's so me.
Athletics and creative. And, you know, I was the captain of the drill team. Like I was captain of like all of these like clubs.
Yeah.
You know, I was the vice president of my class because I could see that. I needed to be expressive.
Yes.
Because if I spent too much time here, then my brain would go into like really bad places.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For me, I always found ways to be successful, even when I was struggling. Like when it comes to a multiple choice test, my issue is I could figure out why every single answer could be right. And I can explain myself and prove it to you. Like that was my struggle always, right?
You should have been a lawyer.
Oh my God. Because then I have to memorize stuff, which is hard for me to do. My twin sister owns a law practice, interestingly enough. It's like, I know. So funny. But no, I will never forget this. You're gonna like appreciate this story. But I remember I was in junior high and I could not pass my history class, and I couldn't pass my test. I was really struggling. I wanted to ace that class. So I asked if I could do extra credit, and my teacher was like, well, what do you have in mind? So I created a news reporter, and hello, this is Jen Allens on NII News, where the news always comes first. And I would report the chapters, and she made the class listen to it. And I ended up acing the class, but I just found another way to do it that met my type of intelligence. I couldn't memorize stuff, but I could do it my own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's so funny. It's another thing that I'm not surprised that we have in common. So when I got to my junior year in high school, I ended up going to the office, and I was just like, because I don't know if you remember, I don't know how, you're much younger than me, I think, but we used to have this. This is when Anderson Cooper and Lisa Ling were on like this thing called Channel 1 at our schools, like before like CNN and all that I would watch. Anyway, but it would only come on in the morning. And so I went to the office, and I was like, can I do the afternoon news? So that's when I started doing, so the same, like very similar to you did it in your history class, but I would do the afternoon news, and I would like the AV set up, and I had my own news station. And I was just like, you know, it was just like, it's like, it was like something you had to do to like, I don't even know how to explain it, but
you just know.
You just know.
It's like, you know that you can succeed in this thing. It's in you. You just feel like, let me show you how I can make this work. I can make you happy and do what you want me to do, but I'm going to do it my way and show you why it's an awesome way to do it.
Yeah, there's another way for me to have success here.
And you have kids, and you are probably so open to recognizing their set of intelligences, which I think is so important with kids, you know, to just put everyone in one box and to feel like we have to all be the same type of intelligence. It can really stump people's success, I think. And when you discover that, that's when I think success really starts to thrive with everybody, because we all have our own things, right?
Yeah, we're really cognizant of our kids and like their strengths. Fortunately, they both in first grade, they're in first grade, and they both got into the the acceleration program in their class. However, one of them is like incredibly, like, he's a fast reader. He can do three-digit math, like 125 plus 623. Like he does all this stuff in his head. Wow. They're both great readers.
Yeah.
The other one is can memorize. Every book that he reads, he can memorize it. You know, so they have their two strengths. Like one is like super outgoing and creative, kind of like us, and the other one is like more. He seems like he's not outgoing, but he wants to be
Yeah.
on the stage, and he's just so logical.
Yeah.
But I remember one of my kids coming to me. He's like, Sandra has a big brain and I have a little brain. And I was like,
Oh,
why do you say that? He's like, he's really good at math. And I was like, well, let's talk about some of the things that you're really good at. And then I started explaining to him, like, you're good at this,
oh,
you're good at this. I was like, you can make up riddles and jokes. I was like, that he can't do that.
you just gave me chills.
I know. So
I love that.
because people celebrate kids who are smart,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't celebrate kids who are creative and emotionally intelligent.
Oh, yes.
And so, I'm like, why are we not? Like, why are you only? And that's why I love the class that they're in, because I asked the teacher, I was like, you have this accelerated class, but they're also different. And she was like, they oftentimes, like, a lot of my kids get different homework because I need to make them feel successful. And then by the end of the year, they're all doing the same thing in a different way. And I just think
gosh. Oh gosh, that's so awesome.
It's pretty powerful.
Oh my gosh.
Especially as a parent.
Oh, I bet. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Shaun, I have to say,
Wendy.
you are, I mean, every time I talk to you, it's just, I get to know a little bit more about you, and it's such a blessing. It's honestly it's truly a gift to get to know you more and more. And I could talk to you forever, and I know I will.
Yes, we will. We have more talking to do. And ditto. I just think you are, we had the other podcast with the amazing Linda, Mary, and Cherish.
Yeah.
And, we had a chance to really chat on the phone. And I just think that, you're great. You're so great. And, I have your back.
I have your back. And I'm going to be rooting all the way. Speaking of which, I want you to have the last word. So what would you like to say to your fans and everybody watching, because everybody just adores you, and just would love to hear that final word from you.
Oh, thank you. So in closing, and I didn't plan this, but in closing, one of the most important things is for people to really find a way to trust and believe in themselves. And as we, talked about children, because if we all go back to a point where we were just so innocent and free, and we were able to open our minds just to be who we are, that is the biggest way for you to trust and believe in yourself. We get older and we carry all of this baggage, and we start to compare ourselves to other people. And then we become stifled in our ability to move forward or to do something new. And so I always say, to believe in yourself, you must accept yourself. To accept yourself, you must trust in your power to believe. And no matter how old you are, you can always start anew. Like, even if it's something on the side,
Amen.
Always start anew, and never, ever, 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 ever be your worst critic. Always be your biggest fan.
On that note, mic drop. No. Anyway, thank you so much, Shaun. And
thank you, everyone.
And don't go anywhere, Shaun. I'm going to say goodbye to you on the other side. But to everyone watching, thank you all for tuning in. And thank you, Shaun, for bringing all your followers over here. I really appreciate it. And until next time, you guys, we will see you later.